Hi, I'm Greg Berman, Chatham's Director of Natural Resources. The Department of Natural Resources comprises 5 individual town divisions that each play a significant role in the protection of public health and the natural environment. The department oversees the management of marine resources, our waterways, and the marine infrastructure of Chatham. Today, our Conservation Agent, Paul Wightman, takes us behind the scenes on a project to help protect one of our seasonal visitor species, the osprey.
Hello, my name is Paul Wightman. I'm the Conservation Agent here in Chatham, and today we're here at Valley Farm Conservation Area. We're going to be filming a new osprey nesting platform that was erected with the help of Peter Van Ansem and Robert Davis, who are neighbors. They both really spearheaded this project, put together the building materials, paid for those, got volunteers involved, and with our staff and those volunteers, we erected this pole about 8 or 9 weeks ago and installed it in the marsh. In developing this project, we utilized the help of Mr. Chris Waltz. He calls himself the Birdman. He's been working with ospreys since 2008. He designed the platform and helped us erect it on site about 9 weeks ago. There's an estimated 800 pairs of ospreys on Cape Cod. Obviously, Chatham, being strategically located near the ocean, is a prime habitat for ospreys. Ospreys are a listed species with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. They are not endangered anymore. They were in the 1970s due to the fact that DDT was being spread around, which affected their eggs and the thickness of the egg, which did not allow the egg to actually hatch out. It became fragile. They stopped the use of DDT back in the late 70s, and the ospreys have been returning to the Cape and have been increasing in numbers for the last several decades, to the point now where they're no longer listed as an endangered species, but are listed as a species of special concern. Ospreys mate for life. The male arrives in early spring, in March. The female arrives later. And although they mate for life, what they're really doing is both returning to the nesting site that they have occupied and raised chicks in before. The male begins to build the nest by bringing large sticks in, and then the female lines the nest with moss and fine material to insulate it and to make sure that it's secure enough to support chicks. When the chicks are first born, they are completely helpless. The parents will feed them fish exclusively, and the eggs hatch out on a 3-day delay. So the first egg is hatched on a Monday, 3 days later the second egg is hatched, 3 days later the third, and 3 days later the fourth. They also feed water to the chicks, which is a little bit unusual for raptors. They store the water in their gullets and then feed it to the chicks along with the fish. So when they return to the nest, they break up that fish into small pieces and feed it to the fledglings. After about 55 days, the birds would have matured enough to begin to try to fledge in late summer. The male will stay with the chicks that have not fledged because they have a tendency to continue to beg for food and not try to fly. But eventually, even the male will leave and the young fledgling will finally emerge from the nest and fly and begin to fish on its own. Obviously, it takes time for them to learn how to fish, but they will then travel back to South America, some 4,000 miles away, and then again return in the spring. So that's the cycle of the osprey. We've begun to get involved with erecting nesting platforms because many of the birds will nest on telephone poles with live wires, which present a fire hazard, and there's a policy to remove those nests, so we have to find alternative sites for them. Because there's such an interest in ospreys in general with the general public here in Chatham, we purchased a osprey interpretive guide sign, which we installed down next to the nesting platform with a bench. that is about 100 feet from the nesting platform, so anyone who wants to come down here, walk the trail in Valley Farm, it's a short walk. You can sit on the bench and watch the ospreys lay their eggs and go through the process through the summer of seeing the chicks get larger and larger and then eventually fledge.